been featured in Time. Today, he's done fashion shows in Venice, in Paris, and Senegal, and Morocco, and basically, he is an international creative designer that understands the business of doing fashion, from the designing to the fabrics to the merchandising to the, I would say, importing and exporting of what's required. And he's got a major fashion line that's known internationally, and you can even check him out for your listening audience online at berniemartin.com. And he does a lot of community service work.
You know, Frederick, one of the things about our guest today, you know, while I'm waiting for him to call in, you know, he was born in Haiti, you know, and he's a Haiti American. So that means that he understands our culture, that we do and what we do, you know, quite a bit, okay, in our country. So he understands, you know, some of the pitfalls that the person would have, and they try to do business, okay, in our country. And so, so now we just, you know, thank him for when he gets to us. But I tell you what, Fred, one do this, okay? Let's take a small break, and now you get in contact with him, okay? And then you come right back in, okay?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, on that note, Scott, I'll take a small break here. What we're doing here as we kind of move things around. I want to tell our guests about this thing. In our country, to something that has been happening in our entire lifetime of our country, that we have a split in the Republican Party amongst themselves. And so now we are praying that all goes well. Next week, we get a speaker. And I also pray that they reach across the aisle and bring some Democrats in and Republicans together. In my mind, you know, we need both. Well, something that one of our ex-mayors in St. Louis created here, Scott, you may remember him. I know that Lyles, former mayor Freeman Bosley said, need all black and white keys to play the piano. So I'm gonna use this ad, you know, for the House to operate. You're gonna need Democrats and Republicans to make sure that you can play the piano, all those. And so we need to work together. They need to work together. I hope they will. But I have said that former President Donald Trump continues to have trials in New York City, Washington D.C., Atlanta, Georgia, and the news right now is coming out that in Georgia, they got more news headline this week because two more lawyers have agreed to plead guilty and to work with the prosecuting attorney in Atlanta, Georgia, Ms. Willis, to work and testify on the prosecution behalf in the trial against President Trump. And in doing this, then two lawyers there, they are trying to, you know, still not, you know, get burned too badly, especially in the case of Ms. Powell. She would be able to keep her license, but it's already suspended in Texas right now. So once you get that in Texas and get things with there, she can practice law again. And also, Mr. Steve Grove, he's the one that just left this week, and so he will be able to also do business, but not as a lawyer. And so right now, those two men, along with the person that just a week or so ago, this is going to be an interesting case. And also in New York City, the judge there slapped a $5,000 fine on President Trump for disobeying a gag order that he put in place. And he let the president know that the next step would be hold on one second here. Going to jail for breaking the gag order. And the strike right now continues in the UAW. They're getting closer to resolution. And first they asked for a 20% raise, now they get 23% raise on the table. And also they're making some good in-house changes. And hold on a second again here.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Morton. How you doing, sir?
I'm well with yourself.
Thank you for joining us, Bernie.
Definitely.
And I apologize, Ira. I think that basically Bernie, as we know, as we introduced him, he's a traveling international man, and I gave him the information on the time zone, and that's what caused the delay. I apologize for that, and I'll take the full responsibility, Bernie. So
you're fine. No, Frederick, that's okay. One of the things you'll find in this business, and especially to media board, what you plan to do doesn't always go the way you planned it, and that's one of the things why when you wrote your book. Why we have this program here to introduce people who will overcome the obstacles and continue on their path and get it straightened out. And that's what we have. That's happened today. You said right, Frederick.
Yes, and that's why I appreciate that the listening audience understands that as we kind of look to kind of bring them information on doing international business and bring them players and businesses that are participating in doing business that. Sometimes it doesn't go always as planned, and that's something that I think in doing business you have to be prepared for. You make a plan, be willing to adapt your plan.
And also, that's one of the beauties of doing being live. Okay, and we gotta be able to thank Scott, thank Reverend Lyles, the whole team here, along with Bernie, and also with Frederick. But now, having said that, we're all together right now, so. Frederick, if you be so kind, introduce Mr. Martin, and we get started. Go ahead.
And Bernie, as I said earlier to the listening audience, that when it comes to a person who is well astute in the creative economy of doing business internationally, that there's no other person that can basically kind of give the listening audience an understanding of what it takes to do international business. I let them know that you're a member of the National Black Chamber of Commerce and that you are a fashion designer that understands every aspect of the fashion industry, from the design to the importing and export of materials and everything in between. So that being said, Mr. Bernie Martin, please feel free to introduce yourself to the listening audience so they can understand the depth and breadth of your background. And we look forward to expanding on this conversation today.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me. And Fred, thank you for your leadership. Chuck, thank you for your leadership as well to the National Black Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for the Missouri, for having me here and the guidance that we are under in order to persevere and be persistent on achieving our goal as a team. Also, my journey as a fashion designer started at a very young age. However, I did not have the knowledge of what fashion was or is when I was growing up. So fast forward, it was now until my college year here in Indiana that I really started my journey within the field of fashion. So the background of that, I took a small loan out of my student loan. and I did, I'll be honest with you, I did one of the worst fashion show on the planet.
Okay.
If not possible, if I may say. Yeah, I will tell you, one day I will feature that. I have the video of it. And I think I will need probably 3 bottles of vodka to wash it through because it's painful in comparison to what is considered a fashion show, you know.
My name is Ira Fowlkes, okay? But let me ask you a question first. You mentioned Indiana. What part of Indiana were you located at?
I was born on the island of Haiti, but I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I came to Indiana to Purdue University in Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up in Indiana. My dad, being a child of an immigrant, according to him at the time, New York don't have any universities. They just have party schools.
Okay.
And I don't. And if you're looking back, I don't want to give myself too much here. He was kind of right.
That's okay. Well, this is a time right now we want to know the good and the bad, because right now a lot of people come across, situation, and they can always, hear what you're saying and make some decisions for themselves.
Exactly.
And then can I only interject to that comment about the education in schools, because being a product of Fairleigh Dickinson University that's on the East Coast of New Jersey, there are some good schools, but someone once said to me, it's not the school that makes the student, it's the students that make the school. And so that being said, you got to make the best out of all the information and knowledge that you get wherever you get it from. It's up to each and every one of us.
And you're absolutely right. One of my greatest professors, so today I can relate to you a lot of things that she said. The school comes from within you, not what's coming from the outside. If you're here to learn, you're gonna learn. If you're here to be a sabotage of your future and you want to blame it on the school, then go ahead. And she was amazing. Yeah, she was one of my greatest professors that I ever had. So with that being said, being a product of being an immigrant here, my dad took us to Indiana. For him, he visited some of the school. He really liked the setting, I would like to call it, mostly the setting. And from there, that's how I ended up in Indiana and started my journey as a computer engineer. And I graduated from a computer engineer background. And shortly after that, after spending about 2 years in corporate America, I decided to pack up my bag and went back to school at FIT in New York for fashion.
You see, you're back in New York. Hey,
yeah,
university.
Definitely. So FIT, that's when I really decided to become a fashion designer and learn the trade. And from there, I literally packed up my bag again. I went to Africa. We had nothing, but we had everything. And
I like that.
Yeah. And I still have pictures of it. And Fred, I can forward you pictures of those things. And that's how I discovered myself through the continent of Africa. Not that I know that was, of course, African heritage, but for us blacks in the diaspora, we don't have a good image of what Africa is, especially the younger we are, So with that said, my journey started in Zimbabwe under the leadership of Mugabe, and I remember all those things were happening, unfolding in front of me. And this family kind of like helped me set up my own first manufacturing thing in the backyard of their property in Zimbabwe. And the funniest thing about this part, right? We were making clothes according to the availability of the electricity.
That's good. That's a good one.
You had challenges that you said was not going to stop you from being the businessman that you are.
Yeah. So Fred, imagine this: we would work, and then all of a sudden we stop, and then when we stop, we drink beer.
That's like a party factory you get going on there.
Yeah. Well, part of it, we didn't know when the electricity gonna come back.
Mr. Martin, why was electricity going off and on? Why was that?
Around what time was it?
So I said, why was the power going in and out? Why was that?
We don't know. That's the thing. We really don't know. You could be working for 2 hours or 3 hours, and next thing they cut off for 8 hours.
Whoa, jeez.
Yeah. And what we normally do, and the reason that we end up either you call it partying and eating and things like that, because we didn't want the workers to go home either, because it was a challenge. It was a challenge to gather all the workers to be in one place because everybody lived at the boondocks.
Okay.
So,
and to that point, I mean, basically, fast forward to using that environment. What it seems that's been happening with a lot of corporations now, they're creating these corporate campuses, right? And these corporate campuses, they have pool tables, foosball tables, cafeterias, you know, so that their workers will want to stay and work throughout the day. So
they
you initiate that.
Yeah, and then the sleeping dormitory and all that stuff. So I will kidnap them for a week. I will keep them for a week. I will feed them. I will drink them. I will.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to, because otherwise, the other situation you don't want to be in. So let's say problem-solving part of Africa as a continent. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that for the whole continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would say 90% of Africa is like that.
Wow.
What I just described to you. There's always a power outage. There's always transportation issues. There's always a lack of human resources. Not because they're not there, because they really don't know where they are. Because a lot of time they are not easy to find because of lack of communication, lack of transportation, lack of you name it. So the corporation that I've found a lot of times that are doing really well in the continent of Africa, they have created an oasis around their businesses.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it's true. They bring in the healthcare system with them. They bring in the food supply with them. They bring in transportation with them, and also they will bring in even the school system with them. So therefore, nobody can really move. In comparison to United States, for example, you live an hour away, you can drive, you can feel free to jump from one job to another job without question marks. Versus a lot of countries in Africa, within the continent, have that challenge. And within those challenges, there are companies that are benefiting from it. There's companies that are suffering from it. So, as far as I've been in a creative space, because of those challenges, it limits the creative space to really be a creative economy of what Africa can really offer. You know, the only thing we can do in our mindset is a lot of wishful thinking. You know. Of the opportunities that are out there. Of course, the natural resources that are there are the ones that are doing really, really well. But the creative space in Africa, if I may shock you, it's more than $1 trillion industry.
Yes.
You know?
And to that point, Bernie, I mean, based on the challenges that you just kind of mentioned, and understanding some of the situations that a lot of the creative industry is operating in, why do you think that it still is a $1 trillion industry that the diaspora, the African diaspora, can participate in from an international perspective?
Yeah, if you're looking into just the shea butter, just look at shea butter.
Okay.
How much of a shea butter has been shipped from Ghana and Nigeria to the United States? And that is just one source alone. I have not even touched on some of the organic elements of the creative space. Like, for example, the dyeing process of fabric, right? The colors, the patterns, the design, the fibers, the plants, that we can use for our well-being here in the United States alone. I'm not even considering Central, South America, and the Caribbean, and the Black Europeans yet. That's not even included.
And to your point, when you mentioned shea butter, just to kind of give an anecdote to that, according to USAID, over $200 million a year is imported into the U.S. from West Africa for shea butter, as an example.
Yeah, that's just shea butter. And I'm not even including Moroccan oil. I'm not even including different hemp dyeing plants that those guys use to help beautifying themselves in different techniques that exist from North Africa all the way to Southwest Africa.
Now, Mr. Martin, you mentioned taking the fabric, a plain piece of fabric, and putting colors into it, because Africa as a whole is very known for the very colorful, patterns, colors that they produce. So how did they come about?
Well, those colors, believe it or not, they're all plants. There are no chemicals. There are no chemicals in them. And that's what's even more beautiful about them, because those guys, when they are processing a color, within the same water that they can throw it on their vegetation, and they can eat it, and there's no residue of harm that's going to happen to the body. In comparison, if you go online right now, if you Google Bangladesh, for example, how destructive their fabric making process is to their environment. We are talking about people that are growing extra limbs because of the chemical dyeing process they are using. We're talking about plastic clothes, versus in Africa, they don't have that issue. Because everything is being made with plant-based. For example, turmeric. You know turmeric?
Yes.
The food, the plant, it's like a root, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's a major component for the color yellow in clothes. Yeah. The longer you let it sit in the water, the darker the yellow. Then it come orange.
Wow.
Okay. So those are some of many examples of different plants that you can use just for the color, just for dyeing fabric alone. I'm not even touching on all the other stuff yet.
Well, Mr. Martin said, okay, I know Freddie will say the same thing. We gotta have you come back as a guest. You have to please come back as a guest next year. And we do a longer program about this. But right now, how did you get from Africa, where you had your own factory, to our country? How did that come about?
Well, it wasn't easy. It's still a challenge. Part of that challenge has to do with human labor,
Right.
And being in the U.S., the demand is always way more than what some of those countries in Africa can even process. Yeah. So that's part of my journey right now, is to identify how can we create a better labor force that can sustain the American market share of that, because they cannot meet it, So I'm forced to do small batch of orders, because of the lack of machinery, the lack of power supplies, and the lack of transportation as well, which is another thing. Because with a lot of those plants, there's a time value that is essential, right? So what I mean by that, when I used to live in certain villages, you have food being rotten in one side of the country, and then you have another side of the country that's starving. Part of that because of transportation. That's it. Not that because they don't have the food, they have the food, but the transportation system, whether if it is lack of road or lack of cars, it doesn't matter, or lack of fuel, then therefore it cannot end up to the destination for it as a whole. However, us as entrepreneurs, we can come up with a better solution. Let's say that we have a fun way to store the food, then it can last longer, or store the plant, then it can last longer, so we can get the best out of that vegetation or that food process.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Martin. So now, in Indiana, do you have your own resources there to create your own material?
No, unfortunately, Indiana is not one of those places, you know. But I do get the fabric from other places to make clothes here in Indiana. Yes, we do work with different manufacturers all over the world to get the best fashion that I can. So we do purchase fabric from Africa, different places in Africa, in order to make the clothes in various places as well. Yeah, like right now we're making clothes in Paris, we're making clothes in Southeast Asia, and now we are in communication with different places in North Africa to make clothes. Yes, but part of that bigger problem is definitely the logistical stuff. Is the biggest challenge.
And I just may I just interject. I mean, one of the things that I think is the when we say challenges, I want people to listen and think of those are opportunities. Because as something
Exactly, they are.
Bernie mentioned, if we think of creative ways of dealing with certain issues, I mean, because I'm going to say something that people are going to say, wow, they didn't think about this. As Bernie had mentioned, that some of the infrastructure, when it comes to roads, some of the supplies aren't getting
Exactly.
places. But there is a strong move afoot, okay, to use drone technology, and I repeat that, drone technology as ways of helping the logistic chain, moving things around the country without having to have an infrastructure, but the ability to fly drones. These are some of the creative things that people are exploring to say, how can we expedite and solve some of the issues? Because where there are challenges, there are opportunities. So I just want to kind of...
Yes.
Definitely. And that's where where the National Black Chamber of Commerce of every regional groups can literally unite ourselves and brainstorm and decide internally what area we really want to start a building mechanism that can create a power dynamics that can brainstorm into facing some of those challenges one by one, in which where those issues can be tackled by holding hands together, you know? So, for example, if it is transportation, if it is road, okay, let's all go in and start with the road. And then with the road, therefore, next thing you know, the cars will come. And the next thing you know, the vegetation can be transported easier and faster. And then from there, and so on and so on. Yeah, definitely. Those challenges are not definitely. I agree with Fred 100%. There are tremendous opportunities that do exist for us within the National Black Chamber, if not the African diaspora, or us here in the U.S.
I agree. As I listen to you describe some of the opportunities, okay, that have got in your way, and you'll build an industry as you're going, because as you resolve these issues, okay, as Fred just said, then you're also creating more opportunities, okay, to involve more people in your business, and that's where. Right now, Mr. Morton, I'd like to invite you to we have a conference here in St. Louis in April of next year. Now, in St. Louis, Missouri, we have over some corporate companies around the world, but we have also other resources for agriculture and stuff like that in our state. And so, in a workshop here, okay, I can see it'd be unlimited, okay. People's brain would light up, okay, to hear you talk, okay, because the state is got a lot of resources that's been untapped. And especially when blacks themselves can come in here and figure out opportunities to create new business and grow their business.
Yeah. Another one that distribution channels. The United States is big enough where distribution channel can be conquered. Florida, New York, the Midwest, and the West Coast and Southern states. So just that alone,
yes,
it just us overwhelmingly plan of success of what we can achieve.
Yes,
you know, and those things, because at the end of the day, a lot of those products as I mentioned earlier, they are just getting rotten in the African continent.
That's nice.
They're just rotten.
And Bernie, you're absolutely correct, and that's where I just want to kind of get your take on when we talk about fashion, right, and the African diaspora, and how how can I put it, that how do you perceive? I'll ask you the question opposed to shaping it. That the role that the African diaspora plays on the overall fashion industry when it comes to designing clothes, the look of fashion, the wearing. What's the impact do you think the African diaspora plays on the overall industry?
Oh man, where do I start? We have been the culture mecca of what fashion is today. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. If Saint Laurent was born in Africa. He was born in Algeria.
Who was that?
Saint Laurent. He's one of the main Yves Saint Laurent YSL.
Yes.
Yeah. He's from North Africa. He's from Algeria. And I visited his hometown about last year. And I'm sharing that because a lot of people don't give this guy credit for what he done. When Fred said that, he was the one that actually, you can say, because of his leadership, that brought Black American models to Paris.
Wow.
And show them on stage in terms of like to display colors.
Yes.
Okay. Because he did find it when other Parisian designers were using black and white fabrics only. He found his muse in black skin.
Okay.
In order to showcase more colors. And that's how he gained his popularity as one of the top designers in the world. So what I'm saying here, Fred, to anchor what you're saying, we as Black diaspora, African diaspora, we have been a major source of influence in the world of fashion. However, we are controlling only less than 10% of that business. Wow. Our spending power is overwhelmingly. I mean, I forget what was the number. I believe. Hold on a second.
Well, in the U.S., our spending power is calculated to be approximately $1.6 trillion.
Exactly, and a lot of it is within the fashion spending. Okay, and of course, there's a whole psychological reason why. I'm not even going to go into that. But what we are saying literally is we are not even controlling it, but we are spending the most of it. So imagine if we had the initiative to even have jumped that number to even 25%.
Wow.
Right now, we are less than 10%. And I remember growing up, I remember the Fubu era, the Cartana era,
right,
and Cross Colors era, and those guys, I look up to them dearly for what they have achieved. You know, however, if they had the significance of what that is now, it's unbelievable.
Yes. But I guess, Mr. Martin, one of the things that, along with Frederick, I see opportunities, that is laying out here. That we as a NASDAQ Chamber of Commerce members, with our network of people around the country, not just around the country, can kind of come together and create, well, it's an industry all by itself that you just talked about in fashion, okay? That producing some of the materials in this country would be an unbelievable opportunity from the ground up. To bring that money back into in the Black community, where we have some forms that can do certain things.
Exactly.
I mean the whole from the ground up from A to Z. I think it can be done in this country, and I think that's where you're going with this. Am I right?
Absolutely. Let's just say we have a dyeing process in the hood,
Mm-hmm.
and then we ask Ralph Lauren to process their fabric. Think about how many jobs that would create.
Wow.
with natural dyeing process. In that same water that you just processed this fabric, you can just throw it in your backyard and it will grow fresh vegetables.
What?
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about chemical dyeing process here, where if you throw it on earth, it will destroy the plant.
Mm-hmm.
It will destroy the land. I'm referring to you using the same water that you just dyed the fabric to turn it into clothes, and the next thing you have, when I was, yeah.
Go ahead, Bernie, finish that.
No, what I was gonna say, when I was in Morocco, the further you go into deep in the rural area, 90% of those clothes are made out of non-chemical dyeing process.
Mm-hmm.
The indigo, the blue that you saw, that's made out of indigo. All the yellow is, yeah.
And that's where I was just going to interject. I mean, basically, it sounds like that the agribusiness opportunities is not only in producing, I would say, food products, but is also being able to use natural assets to basically grow the products that are needed to manufacture clothing. Because you mentioned earlier about certain fabrics. I think you mentioned hemp, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you expand upon that a little bit, to saying, what are the opportunities that might be in that supply chain for business owners internationally to basically kind of take that opportunity to the next level?
Hemp is another great fiber that you can also use that can replace cotton.
Wow.
Yeah, you can make hemp fabric, and that right there is an agricultural mean for different communities. Average growers and so on, that can make clothes out of hemp as well.
George Washington was a big hemp grower.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was God. That's our engineer. And also, Mr. Moore, let me introduce our team to you. My name is Aaron Rose. I'm the host, along with you got Reverend Ellen Lyles, who's our spiritual advisor, and also, a part of the team along with Scott Owens. And so we do this every Saturday. But what you're saying, as we listen to you, Scott and I do, and Reverend Lyles being here in Missouri now, we have a lot of farmland out here. I mean, that's land there, and the hemp can be utilized the way you're describing it right now. It's like a market that's waiting. It's like fulfillment to a long time. It's like an opportunity on the brilliance on the ground waiting to be picked. I mean, because that's an industry all by itself, and all you need is the land, and the right, seeds to plant them, and you got an industry right there.
Exactly. So all those, I mean, the hemp of clothes is another form of fiber that can easily replace it's cotton, and it's available. So we have plenty of it, and it's just going to waste. And then there's different level of it as well.
Wow.
And it's my understanding that hemp production takes less water than cotton. So we're
I forgot about that part. Yeah, it's way less water. way less water. Yeah, hemp doesn't need that much water at all.
Well, see, Mr. Boyd, one of the things that I've been
and human labor. Sorry.
Okay. One of the things, Mr. Morton, my background is I'm a labor person, all right. And as I hear you talk, okay, I see all type of excellent jobs, long-term jobs. Because right now, if hemp can become, and we don't use hemp, too much for anything in this country, like, we don't hear about it being utilized as a fabric. Okay, we hear everything about hemp except for that. So if we could create something like that can save water, and at the same time we're going to create something that's going to help the environment, and not destroy the environment. If we throw the water out, then it also could be helping families to eat also in the same land. That's a win-win-win for everybody. When you said so, Scott.
Yes, sir. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
And see, and that's where I think it goes to when we talk about doing business internationally. Some of the challenges that are faced in other communities creates an opportunity for us to kind of be creative. Yeah, think outside the box and say, how can we solve the problem, utilize the issues that are in the environment, but also to economically empower people to participate. And that's where I think the creative economy, like we think of fashion. Yeah, there's a lot of components of that are new to people. As Mr. Martin has explained to us, having natural dyes, natural fibers, and then addressing some of the concerns. I think it's amazing. And so with that, Mr. Martin, may I call you Bernie again, my good friend?
Yeah.
I know we've talked about sometimes the different legislations that's out there, right? And one thing that I was trying to make sure that we make mention of in this conversation talks about doing business in Africa and maybe exporting from Africa to the U.S. What are your thoughts on the African Growth and Opportunity Act that most people refer to as AGOA?
Definitely. It certainly helps. It definitely gives us an opportunity of a lifetime to do business in Africa. Because part of our mental understanding of what's going on in Africa is often fall on deaf ears,
Yeah.
And that's where I think our organization can definitely take those opportunities in hands and harness them and help distribute them to the African diaspora. And I think we ought to be the leaders of those opportunities. And because of our connection and our resources and our values.
Yeah.
With that being said, AGOA is a great opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, we are not taking full advantage of it. However, others do, and part of it has to do with our mental focus on what we let ourselves challenged by what we see on TV and not going out there and see it for ourselves.
Bernie, if I would say so, you and I will be having a conversation. Because I see right now in St. Louis alone that right now our city leaders has a new focus right now of trying to sell our city to be a global leader. Okay. And right now, when I listen to you talk, your conversation with some of our city leaders here, okay, I think would fall on ears that would be very receptive, okay, and can see what you're talking about and understand it and how they could take advantage of it.
How do we take advantage of it?
I can see right now how the city of St. Louis here for blacks and just for business in general, okay, to take advantage of the AGOA Act and producing some of the stuff just from hemp alone that's available to us.
Yeah.
That's in the fashion industry, I would say. But really, yes. Right now, you're describing the foundation of the fashion industry. And not just for the industry, okay, but for clothes, period, in our country.
Definitely. And those things are right here underneath.
Yes.
Our availability, It's just a matter of pushing the green button and go for it. Really.
Okay, Ms. Moore, Bernie, let me say this, okay? You have been unbelievably eye-opening guest. And forget time is always something we can't control all the time, but can you give us an idea now about you as a fashion designer, some of the things that you have designed and some about your, I know on the fashion shows, on your runways,
Yeah.
to be there, that takes a lot to get you there. So let's talk a little bit about how you get, how a person gets to the runway and then will be a fashion designer.
Because of technology now, things can be done a lot faster.
Okay.
Because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, one can be in various cities in the United States, and you hop on the social media and be connected with someone within the continent and purchase fabric. So, in manufacturing fabric, how one can go from there to there, it has to do with production and also having the right mindset that you want to build something great.
Yes.
And not fall short on the challenges that you're gonna get in the future to really stop you from achieving your greatness. And I remember my first time I went to I was in Zimbabwe. As I was going through those processes, yes, I did lose hope in a lot of time. However, I still persevered through them, and through those perseverance, I was able to channel so many other opportunities. And create other economy within those opportunities.
Wow. Mr. Bernie, Frederick mentioned that you think outside the box. I coined a phrase years ago. You think like I do. I think before the box.
Yeah. So just to give an example of what I'm talking about. For example, when I was living in Zimbabwe, I was selling chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah, I became a chicken farmer.
Okay.
And part of that, the reason I became that because I was selling uniforms.
Uniforms?
To the hotels in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds like a customer that you can add other products into your service.
Exactly. So come to find out, they had a shortage on delivering food to those hotels that were in Zimbabwe, and we were selling chicken like you have no idea. You have no idea. People often think I'm joking that I did that. I'll send you some pictures. Me.
No, Bernie, that's one of the reasons that I wanted you to come on and talk, because I think you're a prime example of a international businessman that sees the markets and look at the market opportunities and being creative. I mean, you say I have a client that I'm selling uniforms to, and the client is complaining that, hey, we don't get enough food supply. And so instead of you looking the other way, you say, wait a minute, that's a business opportunity. You turn their concern into an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think is beautiful to share with the community, that Black business owners, we face challenges all over the world.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But we figure out ways to make a way. And that is the spiritualness that who we are as a people. And that's why that you've gone through all of that. And one of the things that I think Ira asked for you that I would like you to kind of highlight a little bit, who are some of the people that you've addressed that or some organizations that have acknowledged your background, acknowledge what you do, just give the audience a sense of some of the relationships that you've been able to kind of garner throughout your journey.
Yeah, definitely. I've worked with the United Nations for a number of years in Africa. We have raised funds through our fashion show with different leaders, ranging from where we were in South Africa, for example, and also we work in Tanzania, where we hosted the president there. I'm a recipient of the United Nations Association for my work in Africa as well. We have worked with World Banks as well, and countless of organizations throughout the United States. Some celebrities I've dressed, talking about Billy Porter, a lot of actors and actresses in Hollywood. I've worn some of my fashion. And if you go to BernieMartin.com, it has a list.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's an extensive list.
yeah, BernieMartin.com.
Bernie, and just as you're saying that, it's too many to remember. But I think with the point that you're making, that you don't do it for the accolades, the rewards. You just got a passion for fashion, and basically you're a man that's about the business that needs to get done to make your business work, and that's excellent. And to that point, I mean, it sounds like you've been traveling pretty much in a lot of different countries and a lot of different continents. You know, what are your thoughts about getting people to have those type of experiences from a business standpoint? And what I'm really leading into is, what do you feel the value of people going on trade missions to understand the opportunities? What are your thoughts about that?
Definitely. I believe trade mission is a great way to test the water if you don't want to go blindfolded into some of those countries. It's a great way to harness the understanding of the cultural dynamics that do exist within the continent of Africa. Because one thing for sure, you can literally cross one river in Africa and you find yourself in a different world.
Wow.
You know? So trade mission is a great way. I always encourage any entrepreneurs that don't have any experience of dealing with within the continent of Africa by itself to learn. It will be the most. It will be an exclusive experience, but at the same time, it will give you an abundance of information that you probably will save yourself a lot. You know. Yeah.
You know, Brandon, one of the things I think, as I listen to you and read about you on your website there, your faith is something that's been very, very, very strong in your journey to get where you are. Because I think that shows, okay, that, biblically speaking, men can always create what they need if they put their mind to it and have faith in themselves that they can do it. And I think that's one thing that stands out as I listen to you today and see the future where you're going. That there's nothing but opportunities, and you don't mind sharing the opportunity with other people, and that's where your blessing comes in at.
Mhm. I mean, by being a person of where when you shake somebody's hand, you can somewhat observe their confidence, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, especially when growing up from Brooklyn, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was a different connotation about the continent of Africa.
Right.
So here I am. I was a young man, much younger than that. And as I was shaking people's hand, and they were literally welcoming me as somebody that, I don't know how, it's a very weird, I always say that to us as an African diaspora community, whether you are Haitian, Jamaican, and so on. It's a very weird feeling when you're shaking those hands in the continent of Africa. It's really not that it's not a bad feeling. I'm just saying it gives you that sense of value that you probably would never have felt by being here. And for me, I look at those people and then I look at the connection that I've made and how can I harness that and make me go through my everyday challenges, because some of the things that I'm facing here are nothing compared to what they are facing every day there.
Wow, that's powerful.
You know?
Yes, it is. And
there's nothing I can take that for granted. Every experiences that I had there, there's not a day that I took that for granted.
And so it's not.
You
Go ahead,
know,
Ira.
okay, Brandon. One of the things that you are such an inspiration, okay, to people that think that their life is over with, and all you are doing here is opening up the eyes so people can look at a bigger picture and not just a small picture. And and having traveled the world, you know what's there, and you don't have no apology for sharing what you know. And I'll bring in our illustrious leader, Mr. Chuck DeBow, to the conversation right now. Who just came on the line. And I will say this to Bernie and to Frederick, that you're the type of person, okay, that a person like Chuck DeBow, our gracious leader, and I also always can see how we can work together and do things outside of ourselves, but also help other people at the same time. And so on that note, Bernie, I'd like to introduce our CEO, President, also our global ambassador of the National Team Conference, Mr. Charles DeBow III. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm good. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. DeBow.
Hey, Chuck!
I just kind of came in on the tail end. Is that Brother Bernie Martin on there?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me tell you, that is the global ambassador. That is a gentleman.
I know.
Out of God on a global, universal level. I cannot tell you how wonderful it has been to have met Mr. Martin and been in partnership with him as we lace that theme that we're talking about. And it's an empowerment of people through entrepreneurism. But with what Bernie's doing, and particularly we're talking about, I believe they're calling it the creative industries now, but we're talking about fashion and design, and how we don't look at the big picture as much as we see our role in the existing picture. And there is a lot of Afro-descendant culture and history in the fashion industry, in the cosmetics industry. And, we were just talking earlier today about African designs, but when you go into Paris, and I'm going off a little bit, but when you go into Paris, you talk about Louis Vuitton, Versace, Gucci, I mean, all the Italian guys and all that, but they're in Paris, and the colognes and everything. Well, when you get up behind the scenes in those companies, there's a whole lot of black people working in there. And where did they all come from? They came from Francophone Africa. So anyway, that's the start. Bernie's got his finger on the pulse. Bernie, what an honor and pleasure to have you join us today. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir. I think Chuck is I kind of bring you a little bit. Bernie just explained to us, okay, the origin, inside the lots, how he got started from Africa and bringing in the colors into the fashion world, because you and I both, we all know this. Those colors that they're kind of highlights in the light in your spirit, so it just lifts you up. And I think that's one of the things that listen to Bernie today, Chuck. He's showing how, from an agricultural perspective, how the dyes that are created, the water can be thrown on the grass into the fields, and they grow great fruit that they become something for you to eat. They also feed you. And so he's thinking beyond just the fashion, that's the cloth itself. But as you create the cloth, how it also creates another industry altogether. And also the power of hemp, what it can do. So right now, first of all, I want to thank you so much, okay, for creating the conference we had in Atlanta, but most of all, bringing together the people that you brought together in the National Achievement Commerce that we're able to talk about on our program on a regular basis here about how the benefits of working with the National Achievement Commerce on a global level, where we bring to the table not just small-minded people, but people who can also create ways to make money for themselves and to support themselves for a long time.
Amen. Amen. Brother Ira, you've got some of the best people in the world right here with us on this call today.
I know.
Anderson has convened, and he's got an eye for talent. And when he captures and sees Brother Bernie Martin, Bernie is just a consummate entrepreneur. Those fashions that you saw at the conference and the fashion show, that was all Bernie. Bernie brought those people together. Bernie's got people that following him. Those were African designers that were based in America. They're African designs, but they're made in America with African materials.
Right. And she took what I see here in Missouri and also in Illinois, we have all this land here that's needed for them to grow the material needed for the fabrics and the colors.
And not only that, we can also reverse the economy too. For example, our hemp fabric, they don't have it in the continent.
I know.
We can sell them. They don't have, not only they don't have access to it, they don't even have a large quantity of it. Most of them, they are using 10 meters fabric at a time. So that right there is a whole nother economic boom.
Okay. Bernie, explain what you just said about the 10 meters. What is that?
So 10, usually, within a lot of markets within the continent of Africa, they only sell 10 meters of fabrics per. They don't really sell you more than that. Part of that because of the lack of fabrics.
Oh, okay. We can only do too much.
Yeah, they cannot do too much. So what happened is the merchant, when you're buying, they don't sell you per meter. They sell you 10 meters. That's it.
So, let me ask you a question, Bernie. I'm going to say hypothetical, okay, but in reality, if you had a hemp factory here in Missouri, you can grow hemp here in Missouri, create a factory, that's a gold mine.
Exactly. It's a gold mine. You can just ship it to any destination within the West African continent, and then they can do the distribution for you.
Wow.
Yeah, you pick your port, whether it's in Angola, whether it's Ivory Coast or Nigeria or Ghana, Senegal, any of those places can become part of your journey of distribution channel.
Wow.
And being if an African American looking to do business internationally, there are programs within the U.S. that look to help you do that. That by being a member of the chamber can help you to kind of identify those opportunities. That's what it's all about, looking at businesses that have the capacity to do more business abroad.
And also, let me say this right quick to get to Chuck here. One of the first steps is get a copy of Mr. Anderson's book that he just put out, How to Do Business International. And you have a footprint, and then when you come in with the National Achievement Commerce, we have connection to both these gentlemen now. Bernie, who has, and Chuck just said, a global ambassador, but also a global opportunity, walk around to create more opportunities, and that's what we need here. So now, having said that, Mr. Chuck DeBow, it's your time now to step in here and just kind of give us an update of what's going on with the National Achievement Commerce.
Well, right here, this conversation is a part of the big piece that we're doing, and it is global economic development by essentially doing business with each other. And then that piece that Bernie just referenced there about a demand for American-based products for the premise of exporting, but it's really ultimately talk about partnerships. You got to help whatever product you were bringing in or whatever product we're sending over. We got to help develop the pipeline so that the product makes it all the way to the end user. So what we're doing is that's part of export tech. That's teaching people how to import and export. We're coming and launching. It's probably going to be January. The Global Technical Assistance Program. And it is going to cover everything from the basics to the higher end elements of exporting and importing. And Bernie, by the way, you know, you're based in Indianapolis. And Bernie's been right. How that goes. So he's right. He's a Midwestern guy. But we're looking at putting in some of those free trade zone type activities, both in particular, we're going to Senegal on November 2nd. This past week alone, we had, it was so big of a Uganda investment summit that was virtual, but we couldn't get it all. They tried to get it all done in one day and have 12 different sectors going at one time. And no, the system's jammed up, and there have been people that wanted to be in multiple conversations. So that was on the 17th, and we're gonna have not quite a do-over, but like version 2.0, and come with it, and there'll be more of that, and there's matchmaking included with that. That's the Uganda Investment Summit, and Uganda's part of the Eastern Economic Bloc of Africa. And then on the western side, we've got Senegal coming up, and Senegal has offered us acreage, or hectares as they're referred to on the international metric system. They're offering us over 200 hectares for a free trade zone to be created for American products. And that's why I mentioned that we had interest from Fortune 10 company to be a part of that and have us help facilitate their entree onto the continent of Africa. We're working on that one. Then, I mean, there's all kinds of things. Fred, I need to defer and let you share some of this. Fred just showed me something today where they're trying to get us in Kenya for, I think, November 27th or something like that. So, Fred, what would you add to this?
I think you definitely covered most of it. But basically, the event going on in Kenya, that is what's known as the JAPICA 2023. It's an economic development forum on the coastal region of Kenya, and that's in Mombasa. And then basically, we're working on some developments that are going to be happening in 2024, developing some relationships in Asia, because we're looking at going back to India with our Delete Indian Chamber of Commerce brethrens, as well as attending some of the conference called IndiaSoft, which is a technology.
And let me just add, I thought, IndiaSoft is we're partnered with the Delete Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry from New Delhi, India. They're actually in our area. I've been with them this week in Washington, and I thought an event that was scheduled for tomorrow morning was canceled, but I just got confirmation. No, it is not. They're having a Black Business, Indian Business conversation, a roundtable tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Convention Center in Baltimore, Maryland. And then on Monday is the kickoff of the National Minority Supplier Development Council and the National Business League. Our brethren are hosting a reception Monday evening there. And Fred, it just keeps going and going. And Bertie, and Bertie, I understand you're not going to be able to meet us in Senegal, as I'm a little disappointed that I know your schedule's full. But we're also looking at the African Development Bank Summit in Morocco, I think around November 6th. And in January, Ira, I wanted to bring this to everybody. We'll be in Orlando with the World Conference of Mayors, and I'd love to have the Missouri Black Chamber there to start talking about what you've got coming up in April.
Oh, yeah.
To get things up.
And also, Chuck, I couldn't get in good time to jump in. right now, as we created the workshops, for our conference, we have so much that we can. So we need to talk about this. I was going to do anyway. How we can bring a lot of this to the conference in April, that people can actually see and talk to the people they don't need to talk to, as we bring them all to one place. And this could be an annual conference but right now it's going to have a lot of flavor from what we did in Atlanta. But Chuck, I think this could be the stepping off point to what's going to take place in Atlanta, and he can showcase all those things that you just talked about here in St. Louis. We have a global market here, and I will be talking to some people on a global people here in St. Louis, okay, some of our leaders, okay, about our conference to get, because our city right now is trying to do a new image for themselves and going to want to be global. And this is almost perfect what we want to do here.
Folks, we got 7 minutes.
I want to say thank you so much for having me here today. And thank you for... And Chuck, I'm still looking to see how perhaps I can go to Senegal with you, at least even if it is for 2 days. I'm looking at the schedule to see how that can fit in. Another one I want to share with you is that since our venturing in Morocco, we have had young black men investing into the Moroccan beauty industry.
Wow.
And now that company is now registered in Indiana, ready to trade. All the samples have been made and the marketing packages have been made. And now he placing orders to come into the country with it. So what I'm saying here, all that was done through the leadership of Chuck last year when he sent me to Morocco last year.
Wow.
If you want evidence of what could happen, I'm not sure how else I can express to you not only my gratitude, but at the same time my openness to some of the things that you guys have done. And I know there can be much more that can be done. All we have to do is just keep the channel of communication going. And Chuck, I owe you that website. We wanted that website to be completed for you to see the evidence of what you have accomplished with me here.
Well, keep going. We'll bring them all the way in. But Bernie, this is a testament of your heart, your belief in the power of mankind and the trust of people that maybe we don't know, that maybe are in a different culture. You told me about Morocco, and I told you, I don't know, Bernie, I'm not sure. But if you feel it, let's go for it, because I know, and right now, more than ever, Morocco's right there in the center of what is exploding out of the Middle East between Palestine and Israel. And Morocco has always been that border gateway trading partner for everybody in the world. They kind of have to play a little bit of a neutral role in this. And if you're good with Morocco, you're usually good with a whole lot of other people that maybe you want to speak directly to. That's always an important trading partner to understand in the history of mankind. Always has been that way.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I have to get out of here for another meeting. But thank you so much for this. Chuck, I owe you those emails, and I'll send it to you, okay?
Okay. I'll do
Thank you, Bernie Martin. Appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you, Bernie. And also, Frederick, every Saturday, this is when Chuck comes and just relaxes and enlighten the whole world, okay, about the thing that the NASDAQ Team of Commerce is doing. And, and it's just always amazing what we find out every Saturday that just blows our mind. And I'm looking forward now as we work on our conference that we got coming up, how we're going to just highlight and showcase what the NASDAQ Team of Commerce can do to help your business and your family to create wealth for a lifetime.
Yeah, man.
All because of the vision that you have, Frederick, and also that Chuck has, and that all of us has us on the telephone here. how we can be honest to reality, and that's the beauty, okay, of the Netflix commerce. We always say there's hope, okay. If you want to do it, there's ways to do it, right, Chuck?
Absolutely, but in order to do it, you really got to just try.
Yes.
There's no textbook. There's no perfect way of doing it, and really, I have to give a lot of success to everybody else. I mean, a lot of respect and gratitude. Let me tell you, this brother here, Fred Anderson, worked so hard, and we're not able to pay him anywhere near what he's just due. But he said he believes in the vision. He believes in what we're trying to do. And that's part of what is happening. And a guy like Bernie, somebody like that, Bernie, man, he's one of those people that you have to give him respectful time, not just, oh yeah, in the middle of okay, Bernie. No, he's got very significant business opportunities and deals that you have to take a moment and listen and hear that stuff out and figure it. And what he's saying there about what has come out of that is incredible. Right now, those same young people that he's talking about in Morocco, man, let's hope they're not over there on the border looking to get involved with Islamic extremists to do something that, I mean, I don't have the religious opinion, but they could be possibly doing more for their interest by building their business, by having their own economic empowerment, and then being able to choose and pick where they go and what they do and how and they when. We're all subjected to things we don't control from the political aspect.
Yes. Well, Chuck, I think you said a mouthful there, but right now you got another. But you always going to invite.
It almost started a whole nother show on that one, because that's really what we should talk about.
First of all, I want to thank Frederick, okay, for these great shows that we have created about our brothers, from the diaspora, and opportunities that are here. Just reach out and give them, and the gateway to them. Guess what? Through the National Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, it is. It's like-minded professionals coming together under one flag banner. The National Black Chamber of Commerce is helping us to make our Black communities and our Black African diaspora a better place to be.
And on that note, my name is Ira Folk. That was Frederick Anderson. That's Chuck DeBow, our CEO of National Chamber of Commerce. Scott Owens, and also Reverend Elder Lyles, and my name is Ira. Thanks for having lunch with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. On that note, life is good and have a beautiful day. And also, please wear your face mask. We talk to you again next week. We'll have another great guest. So please stay safe. Love you. Life is here.